Okay. So, in the last lecture we have seen that what are the knowledge management cycle, and as you have seen that it starts with capturing and creating knowledge, and then we go for storage, dissemination and use. Now, as a part of the ongoing discussion, I am going to discuss that how to capture tacit knowledge, and we will also discuss about various tools, techniques and methodologies that is used for capturing tacit knowledge. Now, if you look at this figure, so the most important thing is when you are going to capture tacit knowledge, that is when you want to transform tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge, then you need to codify it. Okay. So, in order to codify this knowledge, you need to capture it, and this capturing process basically imparts that give importance to how to create knowledge, and then how we are going to capture it in some form, so that this knowledge is codified from tacit to explicit knowledge. Now, if you look at this booklet, this flow chart, it shows that there are tools, programs and other things and the experts through which knowledge capture is done, and once knowledge capture is done, then it is codified using certain programs. Now, and then we move to the next stage, that is testing and development, and there are other stages which we will discuss at a later stage. So, my main focus here is when I am talking about knowledge codification is that how to go about the knowledge capturing part, that is very important in this process, and then later on we will discuss about knowledge codification. Now, when I am talking about knowledge capturing, what does it mean? It means that somewhere the knowledge is available. So, you need to identify the source and see that how it can be captured. So, knowledge is available where? Knowledge could be available in either in tacit form or explicit form. So, explicit form means that knowledge is available in books, manuscripts, guidelines, or if it is available in tacit form, it means that it is available with people who have the knowledge or who are the experts. Okay. Now, when I am talking about knowledge capturing, that is nothing else that how to transfer this expertise from the knowledge source to the repository, okay, and that is what we are going to discuss. So, basically the idea here is that how you can convert that tacit knowledge which is there with the experts into an explicit form, okay, and that is how, if you look at this process, it is defined as how we are going to capture the thoughts, experiences which are there with the experts, and this is what we call mind automation. Mind automation means that how we are going to automate what is there in mind in some form which is available for others to use. And this knowledge capturing sources are many. It could be books, manuscripts, etc., or it could also be the people who are having the expertise and the knowledge. So, what is the role of a knowledge developer? So, what he is going to do? He is going to collaborate with the experts, okay, so that he can convert them into a program. So, in order to codify a knowledge, you are going to use certain tools and techniques to write it, and that is what we call a program. So, when a knowledge developer is a person whose basic task is to capture the knowledge from the experts, and then he is going to put them into a code which can be easily accessed, okay, with the help of the technology. Now, the most important job of the knowledge developer is what? How experts know what they know. So, he is basically going to capture the processes through which experts are doing their work. Okay. So, we will discuss a lot of techniques in of knowledge capturing. Now, if you look at some of the steps that are involved in knowledge capturing, because knowledge capturing is not that easy. I mean, getting the knowledge which is there with somebody, okay, is very important. So, what you need to do, you have to look at the process of knowledge capturing, that how to capture the knowledge which is residing either with the experts or with available in the explicit form. So, it is a demanding process, and the experts have a major role to play, because they should understand the process clearly, explicitly, how they are doing the things, and at the same time the knowledge developer should also be in a position to understand the processes which is being used by the expert, because ultimately the knowledge developers collaborate with the expert to convert their expertise into a coded program, right. so that it is codified, the knowledge is codified in explicit form. Now, he is going to use certain tools to get the information from the experts. We will discuss these tools. What are these tools? We will talk about it. Then he is going to interpret the information and infer the expert knowledge using certain reasoning processes, and ultimately interpret to build the rules that represent the expert's thought processes. Now, these three processes are very, very important. So, you have to see that how to get information, how to interpret and infer that using certain reasoning processes, and then how you are going to build the rules, so that you can codify it, which could be understood by others, right. So, moving further, the idea is that when you are going to capture knowledge, how to go about it. Okay. So, what they should do. Okay. So, you have to see that how an expert is doing his job, and if you are not able to understand how a person is doing the job, apart from the manuals and guidelines that is available. Okay. So, they have to look beyond the facts and the written guidelines that is available, because it is there for everyone, but the expert person will use or approach the problem in a different way. I give an example. Suppose you have a problem, okay, and then you are looking for a solution to it. If you go to a person who is not well known or who is a novice, he would give his suggestion based on facts and figures that is known to it. This is what we call a common sense knowledge. But if you go to a expert, he will give you advice which could be very, very useful. So, now, this advice is not coming from set rules or algorithms, but it is coming from the diverse approaches that is being used by the expert to define the problem and to find out a solution. So, you have to see that how experts are approaching a particular problem. Now, then once you have been able to focus on that, the next stage is that whether you really understand the problem domain and how it is going to be modeled. Okay. When, for example, if the process is clearly defined, the knowledge developer should be equally competent to understand the process that is being followed by the experts, otherwise he will not be able to codify it. Okay. And then he can use case situations or scenarios. For example, if in a particular context certain problems happen, now how the experts is going to solve this problem, and if this kind of situation comes out or arises in the future, then how are we going to solve this problem. So, develop cases or scenarios, or you build it and see that how expert is coming out to the solution of these problems, and then you must understand it in order to see that you are able to understand, so that the processes could be applied to situations which might arise in future. So, it is very important to understand the role of knowledge developers. Now, knowledge developer is one thing, because they must be able to understand the process and should be able to codify it. It means that what a expert understands as a process, in the similar fashion a knowledge developer should also understand the process, right. Now, coming to the expertise of whom? The experts, because we have to see, we have to identify or try to get knowledge from the experts, not from everybody, because it is the experts who have quality of tacit knowledge. So, that is why we need to differentiate them from the normal persons, other persons who follow straight jacketed thinking, because experts are distinguished by the quantity and quality of knowledge which they process. So, if you have a problem, so you go to a expert, right, and this expert should be well known in the field. The kind of knowledge and the amount of knowledge that they should have should be huge, okay. And that is why it is very important to identify experts from whom you can get better knowledge. Definitely they know more, and what they know make them more efficient and effective, because it is the experts who will give you better advice. They will tell you that how things can be done in a more efficient and productive way. Okay. And you can also look at the peers who think that yes, he is an expert, because he has always been taking good decisions, he knows the process well, he understands the job, he comes out with the solutions of the problem. Okay. So, whenever we have problem, we need to consult him, because he is the expert who knows how to solve a problem. And experts not only sticks to the facts also, because that provides them a base, but also they are very focused to a problem. They since they understand the things, they will be in a very say straight manner, they would be very focused to the problem. They understand, okay, this is how we need to approach the problem, because the kind of experience and the learning that have gone them to make an expert will enable them to be more focused with the problem. Okay. And they would be in a better position to explain things. It is not that, okay, this is how, why this is happening or why this is not happening, except in some cases where the experts are not able to explain things, but in most cases expert must be able to explain things, so that they could explain the processes which must be understood by the knowledge developers. Okay. And if the experts are not able to explain the processes, then knowledge developer will not be able to codify them, and that is why it is expected that they have very good quality when it comes to explaining the things and processes to solve problems. Now, some of the qualifications that is expected from experts are that, yes, they know the things in a better way, they would be able to visualize the better picture, they would not only concentrate on the problem that is happening, but they would also be able to see that why this problem is happening, what needs to be done so that this kind of problem does not happen in the future, in what context this problem happens. So, they don't look only into the symptoms of the problem, but they try to find out the cause of the problem. So, they see the big picture, and it is always better to see the big picture, because in that case you would be able to solve the problem in the long run. Okay. They have good communication skills. These are some of the personal traits I am talking about. The experts, because unless you have good communication skills, what will happen? You will not be able to explain things, and then you must have patience. As an expert, you must have a patience, because you does not become expert overnight. It needs lot of work, learning, insight, and experience on the part of the experts. So, experts do have lot of patience, though they can tolerate stress at a higher level, because otherwise they would not be coming as an experts. Okay. And they are more divergent thinkers. It means that they are more innovative in their approach. They don't look at the problem solution in a very straightjacketed fashion. What they do? They try to see that how the problem can be solved. Okay. And they are very credible. It means the way they solve problems are very reasonable, consistent, and that is how they maintain their credibility. And they operates within a schema driven orientation. What is schema driven orientation? Is that whenever there is a problem, they try to figure out what are the things, what are the factors, what are the causes through which it is related, and they try to come out with a scheme that this is how we can move to solve the problem. Okay. And then they use chunk knowledge. Chunk knowledge is the knowledge that is collected from different sources, different spaces and places, and put them together for use, and that is what we call chunk knowledge, right. Like memory has chunk knowledge. So, they also use lot of information from the memory, which is basically there is a collective information is known as chunked information. Okay. And they are really motivated and enthusiastic, because experts are always motivated to be creative, to be innovative. Okay. And these people are not holding information. So, what they do? They try to share the information to the extent possible. Okay. And they have a good quality of a teacher, that is, as a teacher, you know that they are all always ready to share their knowledge. Okay. They are not holders of the knowledge, but there is always to spread knowledge, and that is why they emulate a good teacher's habits, and that is why we say that yes, they are going to share their knowledge. Now, moving to talking about different kind of experts. Okay. Now, the question is that whether you are going to use single expert or multiple experts. Okay. Now, we will discuss the advantage of using a single expert and a multiple expert both. And in many cases, especially in case of R&D, okay, in case of diagnosis and treatment of critical illness, these kind of methodologies are used, because suppose you have a critical illness or a problem and you go to a single expert. So, he will be giving some advice, okay, based on his knowledge and experience, and he whatever is possible he will do based on his knowledge and experience. That is the advantage of single expert. But when you go to multiple experts, what happen? The same problem can be approached from diverse situations. Okay. So, in medical KM systems, it has been found that it is always better to use multiple expert system. Okay. But before we talk about multiple expert system, let us see and discuss the advantage and disadvantage of a single expert system. Single expert system, there is only one expert for a problem. Okay. In many cases, you will find that there are one experts, right. In many organizations, you have only one person for doing one job. So, they get the expertise, right. And the idea is to build a simple management system based on the expert advice of the person who is having a solution to the problem. Now, but this is going to be in a restricted domain, in the sense, because of his specialization, he cannot approach the problem from different situations, right. Suppose you have a problem, you go to a doctor. So, doctor is specializing in a particular thing. Suppose he is a neurologist, okay. But you also need to see a clinical psychologist. You also need to look at other doctors who are having different specializations. If you put them together, you form a multiple expert. But if you go to only one expert, he is going to advise you in his domain. Okay, that could be in the area of neuropsychology. Suppose you have certain problems, okay, and you go for a checkup, and you are referred to a neuropsychologist. He is an expert in the field because that is his job. He is specialized in that, but he is going to offer you advice only in a restricted domain. Okay. And he can make all kind of arrangements. Since he is specialized in that, he can do everything related to that. Okay. But here what actually happens, that single expert is going to provide you advice in a restricted domain, and that is where the problem comes. Okay. Though the problem related to personal conflicts are easier to resolve, because there is only one person and you are going to him, and whatever he is saying you are going to accept it. So, there is no conflict with other advice or other things, and at the same time you can share more confidentiality, because you know that you go to a single expert. So, he is going to keep it with him, but if you go to multiple experts, the possibility of sharing that information is there, and in the process confidentiality is lost. Now, if you are going to single expert, there are also drawbacks, because it is not very easy to capture the knowledge that is there with the single experts, because the line is a single line of reasoning. So, it does not get, you do not get basically in depth discussion on that particular domain. Okay. Though you get in depth discussion in the restricted domain in the area of expertise, but that may not be enough sometimes. Okay. And sometimes, since they are alone, they may not be available to you. Okay. And then it is dispersed, because you do not find single expert or one expert who is going to be very good in that particular area. So, these are some of the problems, because of sometimes which you do not go for some single experts. The solution is going to multiple experts, where the multiple experts are located either in the similar places or different places. Okay. And multiple expert could be used in cases of complex problems, because you get better advice if you are going to pool the expertise or the knowledge resources from different experts. Okay. So, they interact, and then they try to come out with an advice on a problem. Okay. Say for example, in case of medical systems, medical knowledge management systems, what happens? If you go to one expert for a particular problem, okay, that may not be enough, because you need to look at other experts and also their advice, because the problem or the nature of the problem may be very complex. Okay. So, it is always good to consult multiple experts, because they create better interaction among themselves and try to arrive at a problem. Okay. And the idea is that you get variety of knowledge across experts. So, you can develop alternative ways to represent knowledge, because suppose you go for a particular problem related to brain, you go to a person, he is a neurosurgeon. Now, neurosurgeon alone, though he is working with brain, may not be enough. So, the other possibility is to consulting a neuroclinical surgeon, or it could be a brain surgeon, okay, or there could be another physician also could be a part of it. So, you are getting the representation of knowledge is coming from different sources. Okay. And then you make sure that these different experts meet together in a cordial environment, okay, and then they contribute to the solution of the problem. It is not that there is a conflict of interest among them. If there is a conflict of interest, then it is not good, because in that case the knowledge that is represented may be contradictory, and then that may not be very useful, and that is basically the disadvantage. Some of the other disadvantages is finding these experts, multiple experts, and scheduling a meeting for them at the same time, because since all of them are experts, they are working in their own domain. So, they may not be free. So, scheduling is a problem. Okay. And then another problem is disagreements. A neuropsychologist may be saying something else, a clinical psychologist might be saying something else, okay. A brain surgeon might be saying something else. So, that is why there could be disagreement among the experts, because each one of is approaching the problem from their perspective, and that is where disagreements may occur. Okay. And there could be confidentiality issues as well, because if they are going to share and interact with the say history records of the person, then the confidentiality issues may be there. They may not keep it to themselves also. Okay. And then in that case, you do not require just one knowledge developer, because one knowledge developer cannot handle all the experts. So, you require as many as knowledge developers as the number of experts, so that each knowledge developer is going to capture the knowledge that is represented by that domain expert and codify it. Okay. Now, moving to the next one is that this is very important, that how you are going to develop relationship with the experts, because unless you develop good relationship with the experts, you will not be able to get anything out of it, because expert will not be ready or willing to tell you the processes. So, as a knowledge developer, it is very, very important for you to show your enthusiasm, motivation, okay, and you must develop very cordial and good relationship with the experts, so that you and that actually helps you to capture the knowledge. So, these are some of the points that helps you to develop good relationship with the experts as a knowledge developer, so that you can capture the knowledge. Now, let me discuss some of the issues related to this, like creating the right impression. Okay. In front of expert, as a knowledge developer, you must make sure that you have all those skills, okay, so that you get his attention and respect. Okay. If knowledge developer is not paying due attention to you, probably will not be in a position to elicit any information out of it. So, what is required is a set of behavioral and technical skills on your part to understand the process and understand the person both. So, behavioral skills are required to understand the person better, and technical skills to understand the process through which the problem of a solution is arrived. Okay. So, these characteristics actually the behavioral and technical skills are very, very important on the part of the developer, and that gets you respect and attention. So, that you will be able to create very good impression in the front of the expert, and probably he would be willing to help you. Okay. And never underestimate the expert's experience, okay, because it is very, very important to understand the kind of style that is used by experts. So, I will talk about it later, like procedure type or stereotype, storyteller or a godfather type, a salesperson type. The experts could be of different types. So, you must know the what kind of expert he is, whether he is narrating the processes, or he telling you the is more concerned about the content, that is the story, or then he is acting like a father figure, or he is trying to market it, okay, whatever he has done. So, you have to understand the experts, then what kind of style is being used. Okay. And when you are trying to elicit information from the expert and you go to him, talk to him, so you must know everything about the experts. So, you must go for a verification check, or you also look into the background in terms of his knowledge, experience, background, where he has worked, because that will give you an idea about his expertise and knowledge, right. And then when you are going to hold sessions for capturing the knowledge, location and meeting places are very, very important. You should make sure that it is noise free, all kind of interruptions like voicemail, personal visits, telephone calls, okay, all these are avoided, so that you have a peaceful and quiet session, and that is where you will be able to elicit more information. Okay. So, so far we have been talking about how knowledge developer is going to capture the knowledge that is lying with the experts, whether you are going to use single expert or multiple experts. So, look at some of the experts expression. Okay. Procedure type means whether you follow the process, so it is very, very methodical in doing the things. So, storyteller means that he is focusing on the content of the domain, right. Okay. These are the important thing that is to be done, right. Or as a godfather, the compulsion to take over the session means that he dominates over the session, and he dictates you that okay, this is how it is to be done. Okay. And then he is basically treating himself as a godfather. It means he knows everything and don't know anything. Okay. And salesperson are basically those kind of experts, okay, and where they are trying to explain things to you. Okay, this is how it is happening. Okay, so they are more concerned about the solution, okay, of the problem. Then when you are going to approach multiple experts, okay, you can have one-to-one meeting, or you meet the senior experts first, like primary and secondary experts. So primary experts are that senior expert first, and then you talk to people down the line, and then you talk to the juniors, and then you can verify and authenticate the knowledge that you get from the seniors, whether it is correct, whether it is valid or not. Or you can have team also, okay, where you are going to collect information from the teams or small groups, okay, and then you can see the kind of expertise that is coming out, and you can validate and authenticate. Now, some of the issues that actually we will discuss that in eliciting information is that analogies and uncertainties. What does it mean? What do you mean by analogy? Analogies means that you try to give similar statement or similar things, or you talk about the similar things which closely resembles with what you are doing. Okay. So, sometimes you use analogies to explain events. See, this is related to this. See, this is these things happened in that particular thing, and this is very similar to what we are doing. Okay. So, you are giving an analogy of the events that has happened to you and how you arrived at a particular solution. Okay. And then an expert's knowledge is basically the ability to take uncertain information and use a plausible line of reasoning, okay, to clarify the fuzzy details. Because see, when you are going to solve a problem as an expert, things may not be clear to you, it may be very, very fuzzy. Okay. So, based on your knowledge and experience as an expert, you try to clarify it and try to come out to make sure that how to bring clarity to understand the problem, so that you come out with a solution. Okay. And that is where it is very, very important to understand the role of the experience. Okay. So, you must as an expert, basically the cognitive knowledge is is very, very important. Cognitive knowledge is nothing but that how you are going to perceive the event or the object or the phenomena, and that is related to what you call cognitive psychology. So, cognitive psychology basically refers to certain processes of the mind, that is how we are going to perceive, how we are going to learn, how we are going to process the information, and how we are going to conceptualize, okay, and then solve the problem. So, these are known as cognitive processes, okay, related to psychology, that is perception, thinking, information processing, learning and memory. So, you use these perception, thinking, learning and memory, and these are known as cognitive processes in psychology that could be used to understand experience. Okay. And then you also make sure that the kind of language that you are using is similar, okay, because that helps you to understand and interpret information, right. Then what are the various tools that could be used to capture the information, and interview is the most sought after that. Okay. Because in order to capture the tacit knowledge, okay, it is very, very important that you connect to the people, you talk to them, you interview them. Okay. It is very, very important, and through this interviewing you can get lot of information from the experts. So, interviewing is a very good technique actually, and you must prepare that how to conduct interviews, what are the kind of things that is required for conducting the interviews. Okay. And then once you conduct the interviews to get the required information, then you make sure that how you are going to validate the information that you have collected through the interview, because many times many things that is said during the interview may not be authenticate or valid, okay, and it may not be related to the problem itself through which it is solved. Okay. And different type of interviews could be done, like structured, semi-structured, unstructured. Semi-structured, where you come out prepared with a question, set of questions that you are going to ask. In semi-structured, you ask a question, then you the lead is given by the interviewee, and then based on that lead you ask further questions. So, you are not fully structured, but semi-structured in the sense you come out with some questions, then you ask and probe the person, and then he comes out with this. In unstructured interview, it is very, very unstructured in the sense that you do not go prepared with a set of questions that is to be asked. Okay. You start with a question, okay, what was the problem that you solved, and then he said, okay, this was the problem. Then you ask next question, how did you solve this problem? Then what is the process that you use, what are the tools that techniques that you have used, what were the equipments, okay, what are the process that you have gone, and that is how it proceeds, right. So, in this case we use both all kind of interviews like semi structured, structured or unstructured. At the same time, you can ask different varieties of questions, like you can go are multiple choice questions, you can ask subjective questions, you can ask objective questions, I can ask questions in yes or no form also. So, there are different forms of interviews that could be adopted as a interview tool, okay, like multiple choice, dichotomous yes no questions, or ranking scales. So, rank okay on the particular scale, that how did it happen, and that is how you are going to proceed to ask different kind of questions, and these are the things that you need to avoid. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, get the permission in advance from the expert. Okay, convert the interview into evaluation. Don't interrupt the experts if he is speaking, let him speak out. Ask questions related to the domain, okay, and make sure that he is not going to defensive. Don't lose control over the session, that is very, very important. And then pretend to understand an explanation when you actually don't. Okay, so try to, so suppose he is trying to explain, you are not able to understand, but still try to see a reason that okay, I am trying to understand it, and it is always good. And then if you have any questions, then you ask again. Probably he would try to explain in a better way and in a different way. Okay, and don't promise anything that you cannot deliver. It's very, very important for the knowledge developer to ensure that he is not going to say anything which is not correct or validated. Okay, and then you tell him in advance that okay, this is what you need to discuss with the expert in order to elicit information, and it is very, very important, and that would help you to reduce the information reliability. Okay, that you make sure that you are not going to use certain slangs that is used by the experts. Okay, and sometimes you may not be able to remember, that is always possible. Okay, and sometimes experts think that okay, if you will come to know what will happen. So, make him confident that this information will be used for a particular purpose or objective, so that he comes out with the information, right, and make sure that there are no communication problems. And role biases, I mean you as an interviewer or the person as an expert, make sure that you are playing on level playing field and nobody is going to dominate the other. Okay, and make sure that you are not going to discriminate based on age, race, or gender. Okay, that is very, very important, and that would help you to reduce information reliability. That's all. Okay, thank you.